out here at this conference in Anaheim and just wanted to take a quick minute to take some reflections here. Beautiful Anaheim at the new convention center down here at the Evolution of Psychotherapy conference. And just having some deep thoughts. As sometimes these conferences will inspire. It's a lot of therapists getting together to wax philosophical, go down these deep rabbit holes of theory and treatment. But this one's usually is actually one of the biggest ones. It's every 4 years they put this conference on, and it's a chance for all of us to kind of come together in the field and learn from one another. All the big names are here. One of the things, though, that I came into this trip just feeling already, and I had a post earlier this week about it, but it's just this idea of that the fact that we all are kind of playing some sort of games with ourselves about who we are and the ideas of who we put out, even the ideas of what we put out on social media, like I am right now. And there's a game that's played in that, and there's something so freeing about, I guess, realizing that we're all playing that game to some degree, and also taking a distinct decision to not want to play it. I mean, that's kind of the other thing too, is that when you realize that you're in that trap, that we all try to put our best foot forward, and that all it does is lead to artificial relationships. It leads to wanting to seek love and approval and acceptance. Those are all basic human needs, but wanting to seek those from artificial sources like likes, or artificial sources like Facebook friends that we don't really connect with in real life. When you really see that we're all playing that game in one way, shape, or form, I think it's liberating, because it kind of says, we all do that, but we have to unplug from that if we really want to be happy. And so I continue to think about that down here. And one of the things that I really find refreshing is that as I'm seeing that and thinking about that, just seeing a lot of people at this conference, a lot of presenters, and even a lot of the folks that are attending, other therapists who there hasn't been a lot of that jockeying for, trying to come off as being someone else, trying to come off with our credentials, or try to come off with, all these things you've achieved, or all these papers, or these, this research stuff that you've done. It's more just kind of, it seems like people are just here to learn, and there's something organic about that. And again, I think it's freeing when you realize that we're all, no matter what your profession is, no matter what, where you are in life, we're all playing this game. And it's not just social media, we're playing this game in all aspects of our life. And I think what I'm just realizing more and more is that we're just so sorely missing that connection to one another. We are so sorely missing again, this is an artificial source of connecting to me. And, we all have these artificial sources of connecting to one another. And so I'm encouraged that in order for us to really experience what is real, we have to be intentional about how we live our lives. We have to make time for one another. We have to be present for one another. My wife and some of my best friends have been on me lately, just reminding me how often I cannot be, I can be so, unpresent when I'm with them. I could be caught up in my phone. I could be caught up in other things. And it's a challenge to me to really live that out, but it's something that I think is so important that, again, all of that stuff's just gameplay. In the same way that we Candy Crush, or in the same way that we're playing, tap baseball, or whatever we're playing on our phones, those games, the same thing goes on in this kind of the superficial world we live. And I think kind of my point is the good stuff comes from us really connecting with one another and living meaningful and intentional relationships. And until we really get intentional about doing that, life's going to constantly take us in a way where we are pseudo connected to people. We might know what's going on in people's lives by their social media stream, but do we really know? Because that's an artificial way of presenting ourselves. So what I really enjoyed being down here is just spending some time unplugging. I'm here with my mentor, Dr. Sean Davis, who has just poured into my life so much, and really not just helped my career, but helped me as a man in my personal life, in my faith, and just so many areas of my life. To be able to spend time with him and just talk and to walk and to hang out, I'm enjoying the things I'm learning at this conference, but more than that, I'm enjoying the conversations in between. Got a chance to meet up last night with a student that I taught a few years ago, who's just doing so many amazing things, and just to be able to sit with him and hear about what he's up to, and just to see the evolution of his life Again, I felt like I kind of knew what's going on with my mentor and kind of knew what's going on with my former student, who I consider not to be even in that role as a former student. I just consider him to be a friend. But to really sit down and have those moments of catching up and connecting, that's really what left me feeling excited afterwards. And that's, I think, what we really crave. So how many of us right now are sitting at a job or sitting right now, somewhere in our life where the reality is that we're meeting our deeper needs of connection in so many pseudo and artificial ways. We're playing this game of trying to get love, acceptance, approval, connection through the gameplay, right? And our society is set up in a way that it sets us up to play the game, but it doesn't set us up to really get the real thing, the real connection. We have to be so intentional about living that way. We have my faith is pretty important to me. Not pretty, very important to me. And, as part of our church, we have a small group that we meet every Wednesday night. And it was tough being away from them last night because I know they were meeting. And those are one of the times during the week where we all slow down, we get together, and we just talk life. We talk about our faith in God, but we talk more than that, just about connecting with one another, being intentional, slowing down. When you do that, I think it humanizes everyone. Like, you start to see that everyone's going through similar stuff to you in a way that you never really realized. And I think that there's something so powerful that happens when we feel like we're all alone. Like, some of us right now are feeling like we're the only ones that feel this weight of the world on our shoulders, when in reality, if we just got in community, we'd find out that we weren't all alone. There's so many others feeling that same weight, that same pressure, whether it's that pressure to provide, or that pressure to make it, or that pressure to be a good parent, or that pressure to be presentable enough to attract a partner into our life. We're all playing these games, but we're doing it silently. And I think we really can protest the gameplay when we stop and we actually get in conversation about that. And we find out from someone else, hey, you're playing the game too. And really, that thing you need, that thing you want, that acceptance, that love, you might not come outright and ask for it, but we all have a basic desire to get it. And we'll take whatever we can get. If all we can get is some artificial way of meeting that need, we will take what we can get. If we are really hungry and our body, biologically for years has craved real food, if you put us in a room with artificial food for years, we're going to eat that artificial food. Because at the end of the day, that need is so much stronger than the choice of how we'll get it. So, at a conference, here I am going philosophical and down rabbit holes. Hopefully someone's following this, but my basic point is this. Again, it's expanding on that point I had earlier this week. It's kind of where I'm living right now. I'm just kind of done with all the game playing, and even then I'm going to still be involved in it because it's impossible not to, but my time is limited, your time is limited, and this is just an urging for all of you to take time and really be intentional about who do you want to spend quality time interacting with. Structure your life in a way where there isn't so much, the majority of your connection isn't met artificially. It's not met through social media. It's not met through texting. I remember I was part of the generation that we grew up with, with the phone, and so we would sit on phone calls for hours. I remember I'd fall asleep on the phone. Even that was probably a pseudo form, of course, of connection because it wasn't being in front of one another. But I think in order to really have our needs met and in order for us to feel less depressed and less anxious, some of those are just little warning signs, little warning signs on our dashboard that we need connection. One of the biggest addiction studies just came out I think it was last year, and it talked about the number one cause of addiction was loneliness. Isolation. And you look around our society, we are so lonely, we are so isolated, we're so in our own little bubbles. So this world is not set up for us to be connected. So we have to be intentional about living that way. So I really challenge you to be intentional about considering how much of the real thing am I getting, and if I'm not getting much of it, who do I want to seek out? Taken out of context, you might seem strange. Outside of a community of like-minded people, it feels strange too. Like, if everyone's playing the game and that's who you're with, you're just going to play the game and have those artificial pseudo connections. But if you're intentional about getting something deeper in those relationships, like really doing life with people, really being honest and vulnerable, not being afraid to show people the realness of your struggle and your life, then you get in community with those people and life's richness takes off. And you still experience the anxiety and depression. It's just that you don't go through it alone because now you have community around you. And I think that's what we crave. Will we still be posting on our Instagram with the right filters? Yes. However, I think we'll put less dependence on the number of likes we get, or less dependence on the pseudo feeling we get from that false identity that we're projecting into the world about that meeting that need in an artificial sort of way, and we'll actually get it met in a real way. But we have to be intentional, because you look around and you just see, like right now I can show you just people walking around, and how many people are just kind of, doing their own thing. We walk around with our so independently. We stand in lines and we kind of jump into our phones, and it's just not set up in a way to really live this way. So we have to be intentional. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Deep philosophical. I appreciate you letting me go down this deep little rabbit hole with me. But again, we're all playing the game. Do we recognize it? Do we own it? And if we do, what can we do about it? And I think what we can do about it is be intentional and say, I want to unplug from the game a little bit more. I want to live in community more. I want to be more real and authentic, not just on social media, but actually do it in life. Do life with people. That's so important. And spend less time trying to get people's approval. Spend less time trying to get accepted and have achievements that make you feel validated. And I'm speaking to the choir here because, that's something that for myself too, like I've spent, putting a doctor in front of my name for a long time when I was younger, like that was a way of validation. Having a Facebook following of people where they actually watch video, like that, those are all ways that, again, there's this deep need in me to know that I'm accepted, to know that I have a sense of belonging, that I matter. But even in those ways, like I know that's a pseudo and artificial way of getting that met. The only people that can really meet that in my life is, for me, my relationship with God, number one. Number two, it's the people that really matter. It's my close friends that sometimes I don't spend enough time with. It's my close friends that sometimes not only am I bad at text, but I'm bad at getting in person with them. But when I do, everything transforms and changes. Like I'm energized from that. And it just is a reminder over and over that that's where the good stuff is at. So that's where the good stuff's at for you too. I don't think it's just for me. I think it's for all of us. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. I hope that this touches someone and someone else can relate to me. And if you can, share your story down below. And would appreciate that. You guys have a great day.